Well, good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the Sanjubaba show. I really appreciate you doing so. We have been having various personalities in the studios, and I have heard from quite a few of you, and thank you very much for responding. I hope that you continue responding to my show, and if you would like to talk to me in person, please call me at 208-226-6024. Today, once again, as I've promised, I've got a very interesting personality with me. And this gentleman has done quite a lot for the community, for the city, for the state. And it's really a privilege to have him here with me. I know he's a busy person, he has done a lot, and he's going through the last stage of life, as we call. He's about to cross the last bridge and call it a success. And it's no other than Scott Ransom, our zoo director. Scott, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Hemi. So I'm on my last legs. Is that what you're saying?
Not too
the last
stage. We have this saying in India, you start your school and then you finish your college. That's one bridge. And then you get married. That's second bridge. Job second, and then marriage. Yeah. And then retirement, the fourth. And then what else?
Yeah.
What do you do after that?
Yeah, the adventure of life. That's what I'm really going to call it, is our new adventure.
Adventure of life. So how long have you been a zoo director, Scott?
Oh, let's see. Well, since I've been here, which has been 17 years, and then everything, started at college, and so I was assistant director at the Fresno Zoo, or the Chaffee Zoo at Fresno, for about 12 years before I came up here.
Why did you choose Pocatello?
Two things. One is that I wanted to expand my abilities of being able to, kind of operate and make decisions for my own area or zoo. This zoo was looking for a director at the time, and some people on the Zoo Society board at that time in '95 had approached me at a national Association of Zoo and Aquariums conference in Denver, and I mentioned that there was an opening. So I applied for it and came into Pocatello. And they took me around and showed the zoo, and it was easy to see that there were a lot of changes and a lot of things that needed to be done. And so it was a big decision for my wife and myself to decide to leave there. Sure. We had looked at other areas and zoo opportunities. It was a beautiful community, very friendly, and they really wanted to move the zoo ahead, and that was their major goal at that time, was to get the zoo accredited.
Where are you from originally?
Ohio.
Ohio.
I grew
Ohio
up
to Fresno to Pocatello.
Yeah, via Los Angeles. So I grew up in Old Fort, Ohio, about 40 miles south of Toledo, and a town of about 280 people. People have often asked, well, how did you know how many there were? Because, well, one night it was raining, so I laid awake and I counted everybody. And I decided whether to count the ones in town or go out 5 miles, because I knew all the farm kids. And we had 34 in my graduating class in high school. And then I went down to Columbus, to Ohio State University, and my world really changed, going from there to a graduation class of over 7,000. And then trying to decide what to do, I majored in zoology, study of animals, and decided, well, I wanted to get into marine biology. That's a little tough in Ohio.
Marine biology.
Yeah, even though I'd had some freshwater courses in Lake Erie, which I lived next to. So it was either the East Coast or the West Coast to get residency for graduate school. And so I applied to a lot of different animal agencies so I could get work for a year. And the Los Angeles Zoo called back, and they had a temporary keeper position, and I could also test for some other jobs. Well, I went out there, and their testing had closed, and I couldn't before the time that they had given me. So I had the part-time job, and I really loved it. But I had to leave because it was being filled after about 10 months of working as a zookeeper in a reptile house and all over the zoo, which was fascinating. I had not really worked with reptiles, and I think, like most people, being thrown in and working with all the dangerous reptiles in the world. They had over 200 displays, and everything from mambas and king cobras and rattlesnakes. Really learned an appreciation for reptiles. And I got to work throughout the whole zoo. And Los Angeles Zoo is divided up geographically in all exotics as well as some natives. So I worked in the Africa area, the Asian area, and North America. And I had to leave. And I had been in a judo class and had to leave because I had dislocated a shoulder because I wasn't doing things right. And but one of the senior keepers was also in the same judo class, and he recommended the Humane Society in Glendale, California, next to Pasadena, was looking for animal control officers. They were taking it over. So I was there for 5 years as an animal control officer, then a supervisor, and then I also ran their humane education programs and was a state humane officer.
So it was quite a journey all the way from school and thinking of becoming a zoo director once upon a time in your life, and that journey took you to various cities, various states, and eventually you landed up in Pocatello.
Yeah.
When you came to Pocatello, Scott, you saw the zoo, you walked the zoo, and you must have thought, there is a lot to do in this zoo. What was the first thing you thought that I should do if I get chosen or if I get hired as a zoo director for Pocatello? Or was it already that you had been hired, you came in, or what did you walk before you got the job?
Yeah, well, I walked the zoo. I got in a video, and then I walked the zoo and went home. And there were two big things, and it had been voiced to me, that people were not coming to the zoo because there was not enough emphasis on keeping the exhibits clean. They were outdated. Everything was on concrete, and it was just really in a maintenance holding pattern, and people were not coming back.
Did you agree to that, or you had some, or did you find some other negative points?
Well, there were a lot of them, but that was the big thing, and it was understandable.
Sure.
And the two biggest things were getting enough support for some of the financial needs, but to immediately take care of some of the animal needs. Some areas had, like in the upper exhibit, they had too many animals to try to grow grass on it, and there was no master plan for improvements. And so the first thing was started with, there was not enough money at that time to do a major $1.4 million grizzly exhibit. I would have been chased out on a rail because there was not that amount of support. But starting with the small animal exhibits and in-house, and of course with Parks and Recreation maintenance people help, we gradually worked our way around the zoo in trying to make the habitats better, hiring good staff. There were some excellent people that were already there. There was an excellent collection. And the way it was built on those lava cliff areas around there, it was a beautiful backdrop for North American wildlife, but very difficult for putting in utilities. It's hard to bury water 4 feet underground in lava. But moving around the zoo, and then within a few years, by the year 2000, we got a master plan for the build out of the zoo, which we're still going by. And also trying to put in native plants and trees that fit in with the theme. And we decided to keep that theme. Because I've worked with all kinds of exotics, gone to Melbourne, picked up koalas for the koala exhibit at LA Zoo. I'd worked with natives at Northwest Trek, where I was a curator in Eatonville, Washington. But it was surprising to come back to natives. But natives
What were the challenges?
The same. Although with them here and acclimatized acclimated to this type of climate, you don't have to have indoor winter exhibits for bison. If you're in New York and you're exhibiting gorillas and animals like that, you have to have outside as well as indoor, and it gets quite expensive. The other thing is that the community was not real hot on staying with natives. You know, when are you going to bring the monkeys or the gorilla or the elephant, you know, the lone elephant? And over time, everybody in this town has, I think, gotten very proud of the fact there are only about 6 to 7 zoos in the United States that specialize in North American species. And we specialize in this area. And most people don't understand that we're also a sanctuary We do not take any animals that could otherwise exist in the wild. So if we get a call on a red fox who's doing just fine, we aren't going to take him in.
I see.
So each animal has a history of being orphaned, injured, or imprinted on people or born in captivity. Charlie, our grizzly that died 4 years ago at age 34, a grand old age, had been orphaned in Alaska and then moved to Churchill in Manitoba as part of Polar Bear and Bear Research Center.
I see.
And his sister would relocate, but he didn't, so they needed a captive home. So that's what we've done with the wildlife here in Idaho.
You know, 17 years back you started directing our zoo in Pocatello over here. 17 years back, Scott, what you have seen the traffic over there, and 17 years later today, I see the traffic at the zoo. Hats off to you. You have done an incredible job for the community. You have done a fantastic job for us. I think you have really taken the zoo from here to way up there. And we really appreciate that. You know, the community, I don't know if you hear that or not, we do. We have heard a lot about what Scott has done for the zoo. I know budget has been a tremendous factor on a daily basis for you. Still you're struggling. We had the bathroom issue for a long time, and fortunately this has been approved now. Tell me, how was the journey 17 years back that you started and today? How did you get, what really attracted the zoo to bring in that much traffic that we get today? And how much traffic do we get on a yearly basis?
Well, we get about 33,000 a year.
33,000 a year.
And once the entrance is done and the amenities for visitors, and in the future years, you know, a walkway to the top so everybody can make it. I think it can easily, and once it's accredited in a couple of years, you're going to be able to double the attendance with now the Zoo Society specializing on going ahead and building a wolf exhibit. You know, we've got our visitors happy. They're coming back. They're enjoying the zoo, staying longer, getting something to eat. So the progress in the future and being able to bring in more, generate more revenue to help pay for operations, which is a big concern everywhere, that some of those can be geared back now because the old things have been taken care of. The question you asked Sanju about what's been the difference, and I think a lot of it, which was the fun challenge, is making the wonderful contacts with all the leaders in town, yourself and others with Rotary, the city council members, the mayors that have grown up with the zoo and the community, the Zoo Society. Everybody has worked on how can we help. Of course, it's a community of only 54,000.
Sure.
It's amazing that community could build a $1.4 million grizzly exhibit that's probably one of the top 3 in the country right now. I've gotten very favorable reports back. People have gone down to see Salt Lake City Hogle Zoo's new grizzly exhibit and saying, man, you got to come back and see Pocatello's. So those kind of things have been fun. They're there. I don't have that much worry for the future. The society's strong. The community's behind the zoo now. And I don't think there's any looking back. They look forward to the new exhibits. The kids are coming out. Last year, the only field trip for the second graders in School District 25 was their trip to the zoo, because we happened to get a grant that paid for their buses to come out, that paid for the zoo admissions, because most of the community businesses and the foundations, like U.S. Bancorp, Pocatello Railroad Federal Credit Union, and others, Simplot, have really dug in, and they want the zoo to continue. So I think it's going to be a little bit easier. I think operations, the costs and repairs and stuff are going to go down because we have brought things up to a different standard. And the community support to give and donate is going to be a huge asset to the city council that's had to see operational costs put into place, and I understand that.
What kind of fundraiser project do you have going on a regular basis?
Well, every year, of course, we have our educational programs, Very Happy Birthday and Zubu, which we get over 1,000 kids for each of those. Midsummer Night for the zoo is our adult fundraiser, and that's in mid-July. And we netted over $22,000 for the new entrance. And then we had Ice Cream Zoofari.
That was an incredible hit.
Oh, we happen to own that Saturday now, and it works very well with Chubbuck Days Parade in the morning, and people come out for all
I hear
you
the
can eat
Giants
ice cream.
close everything just for the Zoofari.
I wish.
Isn't that great?
What closed?
Like the Chubbuck Days. Chubbuck Days was closed at 2 o'clock. They wanted to make sure that everything gets over by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, it's been a good
so
relationship.
everybody can get there.
And
Yes.
Chubbuck and the mayor of Chubbuck and the mayor of Pocatello have both been very supportive. And we had over 2,200 people at Ice Cream Zufari, and we netted a record $11,000.
Excellent.
And so people enjoy coming out to those. We ask, well, what could we tweak and do a little bit differently? And people say, you know, don't touch Zufari. The kids love it. I had somebody come up, a mother said, you know, I mentioned Zufari, and the kids said, let's go, but it was the weekend before. She said that was the biggest mistake she mentioned. It was mentioning it to the kids. They didn't let her forget it.
Yeah. What is the next attraction to the zoo?
Well, we just finished the grizzly exhibit. Yeah. And so if we have time, what we might do is go through a little slide presentation that I've been using that kind of shows during this last year what we've been doing in-house. It actually shows people the grizzly exhibit, and if you haven't had an opportunity to come out and see it, you really should. That's one happy bear, Stripes.
I have a question about chimpanzees.
Yes.
Is it a weather condition why we don't have chimpanzees here, or what is the reason why that we don't have chimpanzees? I think they are very attractive animals that kids would love.
They are. Two things. One is our mission is to increase appreciation for our own native species. If I besides the cost, if I brought a chimpanzee in, it would say, I don't believe in our mission. It would have been like at your restaurant, you're going to bring in corn dogs for one weekend. They may be terrific, but that would be not wow. your mission. And so that to excite people, if I have to bring a chimpanzee that says that Stripes the grizzly or the mountain lions are not exciting to people.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you those are all exotics to everybody that comes to our country that
Sure.
wants to see the icons of the American West that they've seen in the movies. I've had Chinese business leaders come over and they want to get a picture in front of the bison exhibit with the bison behind.
Absolutely.
And it's the same problem in every country. Whether you go to the east and you're trying to protect tigers, people are trying to compromise their living space with their own species. We have the same problem here. And I often say that you can imagine kids in Pocatello sending their nickels and dimes to Nairobi, Kenya to save the northern white rhino. You could see the kids in Nairobi putting their nickels and dimes together to send to Pocatello to save the salmon, the wolf, the grizzly, or the sage grouse. So kids, if they haven't been brainwashed by their parents that tigers and peacocks and everything else are more exciting, they get excited when a squirrel walks across the walkway at the zoo. And I'm still trying to get them to look at the mountain lion. They love wildlife, and it makes a better appreciation for their own, so that if legislation comes up, they're there voting and protecting for the habitat of their own species. And people here in Idaho are very proud of their American wildlife heritage. Sure. And one of the ways to get kids away from the computers and involved out in the wild is to have them come in and see up close, you know, a badger or a mountain lion or an eagle, that you don't get that opportunity in the wild. So that's why I don't do chimpanzees. I can let the Hogle Zoo do chimpanzees, sure. and we aren't competing with Zoo Boise or Idaho Falls, but we still have the best grizzly exhibit.
Excellent. Budget has always been a concern, Scott, and I know the city and the county and the state are helping out as best possible as we have. Do you get any federal help?
No.
And why not?
And that's fine, and we really shouldn't, unless it would be maybe a new exhibit for an endangered species that's on a federal program. You know, I can understand that, because you have to treat an endangered species as a continental problem. The whole United States owns the grizzlies. It's part of our heritage, and bison. And if there's a problem somewhere that certain captive display or breeding can help, I can see where, you know, federal dollars could help. But there's no reason why in this state, between the local and state grants and that we can't fund, you know, what we need to do at the zoo for our own wildlife.
Can we expand the zoo?
Well, the plans are we can expand from our current 28 acres out to about 43. Okay. But a lot of that is space for vegetation, whether it's backdrop to keep exhibits large, so that we can also display animals in more of their natural group patterns, so that they display more natural behaviors. We don't get the stereotypic space pacing because there's more space. And that's about as big as what we'd want to do in order for the community to be able to support it.
Talk to us about the zoo membership. How do you become a zoo member?
The Pocatello Zoological Society is a charitable organization, a nonprofit, 501c3, and you can call into the zoo or go online to zoopocatello.us. The society's there, and you can become a member, whether it's a family or an individual, and it's very small, whether it's $55 or $60, $35 for an individual, $40 or $45 for a grandparent, which I have a membership, so I can take my grandkids that live in the LA Zoo to the LA Zoo for free, because we reciprocate with about 60 other zoos and aquariums. And then I also volunteer as the executive director of the Zoo Society, which has been really a very beneficial time.
What next, Scott?
The zoo
You're retiring very soon?
The zoo entrance, yeah, I retire at the end of October.
What is your next hat? What are you going to wear? What are you going to do?
Well, we don't have family in here in town, but we want to stay close to the people of Idaho, and there are a lot of expats of Pocatello and Boise, so we're moving there. There are a few more things to do culturally and be able to walk and to bike and to get closer to the coast.
Do we have another director chosen already?
No, that's the mayor and my boss will be working on how that process is carried out over the next couple of months. But I am sure it will be very smooth.
Will you help them?
Sure. And we also wanted to talk about the entrance here.
Sure.
Because I wasn't quite sure what amount of time we had left.
We do have. Go ahead. Let's talk about the entrance here.
And it's the new entrance to the zoo, and this will take away the roadside zoo look at the front, because the rest of the zoo has been pretty well developed. But it give a northwest look to the zoo, as well as new handicapped accessibility into the zoo. And I don't know if these are on camera, but this is currently 2nd Avenue, and with the Ross Park new master plan, it may move over to the other side of the park by the tracks for safety and providing a bigger open field for the park. So we'd have bus drop-off, handicapped access to restrooms, which are important to everybody to stay, a new entrance, gift shop and snack bar in a plaza area out behind, with new access around the lower part of the zoo. So people can enjoy and really spend a day, rather than if Johnny and the family have to go to lunch and they got there 11:30, they have to leave. So it's going to be a tremendous addition, and we're already completing plans. We can just set that down.
Here. What are we doing, Scott, to bring this zoo more into every school, so that the school children can get excited about it on a regular basis? They know what's going on, and we can bring in more traffic on the weekends. Can we connect the zoo and the school somehow, somewhere?
Oh, we have for a long time, and it's just a good opportunity for me to tell everybody out there how strong our connection is with the school district and with ISU. Many of our board members are from both on the Zoo Society board, and strong ties with Fish and Game also. We just received a grant through the Zoo Society of $5,000 from U.S. Bancorp. Last year they gave us $3,500, and the 2 years before that $2,000 each. So their commitment to the zoo is very strong, and that's for outreach programs to the schools. We have a van that was sponsored by Park Price Motors many years ago, that goes out to the schools, and if you see it driving around, it's got the little animal tracks all over it, and it's called the Habit Tracker. But it takes animals to the zoo, as well as the live animal programs with the big birds of prey, including the bald eagle, now on the zoo grounds at our theater that Fred Meyer Fund, as well as U.S. Bancorp, built with about $15,000 2 years ago. So there's an auditorium area for these programs on the zoo grounds, plus 2 new hawk exhibits that are part of it. But these, the birds, reptiles, can go out to the schools. They're out during the fall and the spring, and they go to every 1st and 2nd grade in School District 25, as well as they visited all the schools of Teton School District up at Haley last year, because they heard about our program. and they asked if we could get up there, and they did a program over several days for 465 kids in that school district. So it's extremely popular.
Very nice.
We include hand puppets. We probably have every North American animal in a hand puppet of some sort with a puppet stage, because kids love getting up close to a live animal.
Absolutely.
It's not that we're going to show up with a mountain lion or grizzly, but that's what it's all about, is especially getting kids when they're young up close to wildlife, to appreciate them, to give them their space, and to fight for saving their share of the space that they need in our world.
If we have some time, let's talk about the slides we were talking about very quick. How much time do you think in the slideshow we have?
We can flip through it in about 5 minutes if you like.
We've got about 3.
We'll do it. Josh is pulling these up. Thanks so much. And we can go to the next slide. Of course, we've got a wonderful zoo logo. Everybody just loves it. And our mission statement, again, is to increase our knowledge and appreciation of native wildlife, and also to get the kids active stewards of protecting the wildlife. Next one. They're all native species. One of my questions to the kids, what's black and white but always red? Red fox. They come in a lot of different phases. These two were brought to the zoo that had been somebody's pets. Next one. Again, black bear cub, we have 2 of them that were orphaned 2 years ago, and they're growing up as brothers together. And next one. Same one. Next one. Our education programs, we have a zoo mascot, grizzly, and this is with our summer camps. Kids come up, and we have about 4 different summer camps and day camps. Next one. Volunteers, Joy on the right is a retired veterinarian. She also helps us rehab some birds at her own facility. Next one. So if you want to volunteer as an adult or child, next one.
Let's stop on that.
Birds. Okay.
Well, Josh, let's stop on this right now, and thank you very much once again. Scott, really, this was good. I hope, folks, you have enjoyed this evening today with Scott Ransom. He has been the zoo director for the last 17 years over here in Pocatello City, and I'm sure you have seen the changes what he has made over here. If there's any questions, concerns, or if you have any ideas before he calls us goodbye, and before he leaves us, and before he leaves the city of Pocatello, you are more than welcome to connect with him at the zoo. Till then, Scott, when is the last day here?
The 31st of October.
31st of October. Days are nearing. You know, I'll miss him a lot. We'll all in the city of Pocatello miss him a lot. Thank you so very much, Scott, for being such a great director for the zoo.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Alzheimer's disease, if left unchecked, will strike millions, including baby boomers, their children, and grandchildren in the coming years. As a scientist studying Alzheimer's disease for the American Health Assistance Foundation, I'm well aware that continued research is our only hope for finding a cure. Call 1-800-437-2423 or visit ahaf.org for free publications on Alzheimer's. Learn what you can do to help battle this deadly disease.